Hello, guys. Welcome to Live Life on Intellectual Radio. I am your host, Lovely Laura, and this is my beautiful co host,
Dr. Hurley Harvey.
Well, guys, we had a big election yesterday. We are definitely going to talk about that today. There is this dark cloud over America. I have to say, not just over America, but actually over the world. It has really affected the world. So, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be our main topic for today. But we're also going to talk about our usual topics. Well, first of all, guys, we've been gone the entire month. Last month, we went on vacation and we took a cruise. My very first cruise. She, on the other hand, has been on, I think, a couple cruises, but this was my very first cruise. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to talk about the 5 W's of Black history, what's happening here, what's happening abroad, politics, and entertainment. So we have quite a bit to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Dr. Jones, tell me, let's talk about the cruise.
Okay, what a wonderful time we had. 5 days. Oh my goodness, I enjoyed myself in Mexico. We cruised to Mexico. We had a stop in Cozumel, and then we also had a stop in Grand Caymans. And the entertainment that they had on the boat was absolutely phenomenal. Every night we had something to do. We went to the club, kind of turned it out with our Soul Train line. We had a ball. It was like 18 of us, all family.
Yeah.
And we really, really, really enjoyed ourselves. And now we're planning another trip.
Oh, yeah, I got that email.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We had a great time. I was a little nervous, I'd say, the third day because the ship got to rocking quite a bit. We were feeling a lot of residuals from Matthew. And I was like, okay, this is my first time on the ship. And I would just lay in the bed and I'd pray and say, Lord, okay. I know you got me. I know you got me on this. But I was up early every morning, wasn't I?
Yes,
I was
yes,
up early every
yes.
morning just wanting to get into the activities and do those things. But I had a great time. And I would definitely cruise again. Also, this past weekend, I want to talk about I have a business where I do events and I cater and just do weddings and different events. But this past weekend, I had an opportunity to do a wedding. Congratulations, first of all, to Deoria and Peter Sunday. They got married this past weekend at Valley Kingdom Ministry. Yeah,
Yes.
that's Dr. Jones' church, actually. So they got married at
Yes.
Valley Kingdom Ministry, and it was a beautiful ceremony. So I thank them for entrusting me to plan their wedding. And actually, guys, I planned that wedding in 33 days, and it turned out phenomenal. 33 days minus 5 because I was going on the cruise also. But when I came back, we hit the ground running, and it turned out really well, really well.
And the cake that you designed, it was really awesome. It was really, really, really elegant, nice, and simple all at the same time. And it really fit the bill for what she was looking for. So
Yes.
I was very, very impressed with that. Great job. Kudos to you.
Oh, thank
All
you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
right.
How was your weekend?
It was nice. I worked, of course. So I got to do what I like to do, earn some extra money. So it
Yeah,
was
I earned some
nice.
extra money too. I ended
Yeah,
up
and
getting a
then
tip.
in the midst of that, I'm helping out the less fortunate and giving back. So it's always a pleasure to do that.
That's true.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to give back.
That is definitely true. So the 5 W's of Black history, guys. Now this is going to be an interesting Black history question for today. I actually created this Black history question of my own because, as you know, our original topic for the show was going to be history makers. And I figured, wow, we've had so much going on. Chicago Cubs, shout out to the Cubs. They won the World Series. The last time they won it was in 1908. I just knew that Hillary Clinton was going to be the first woman president. And then I was going to talk about President Obama exiting the White House, he being the first Black president to exit the White House. However, based on what happened last night, that topic changed.
Turn of events.
Yes, the turn of
Turn
events.
of events.
It
And
absolutely
kudos to the Cubs. Go, Cubs, go. 104 years. Great job.
108 years.
108
Yeah, it's
years.
been 108
I
years
thought
since
it was
they won.
104 since they won. It's 108.
Yeah, it's been 108 years
Wow.
since they won. So, to my Black History question. My Black History question is, how many African Americans have started, operative word being started, in the World Series with the Chicago Cubs? How many African Americans have started with the Chicago Cubs in the World Series? That's my Black History question for today. All right, guys, you can text me. You can call in to 708-223-8953 with the answer, or you can text Dr. Jones with the answer. So, Dr. Jones, politics, of course, we all know. If you haven't heard, guys, Donald Trump won the presidency for the United States. I'm certain everyone knows that by now. My heart is heavy. It really is. It's heavy. So, and Hillary Clinton lost. So that's a bit about politics. As I say, that we're going to get into it deeper a little later into the show. Now, what's happening here? Again, it's politics. It's all about Donald Trump. What's happening abroad? Well, I want to talk about my daughter. As I have told you guys, she's studying abroad in Madrid, Spain. I went to sleep at about 1 o'clock looking at the results. As I last saw what was up on the screen, because I followed CNN last night, it was about 1 in the morning when I went to bed. And Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and there was another state that hadn't yet, reported. It was close, but Donald Trump was in the lead. And what was so historic about this entire election was the fact that those states were normally blue states. And the fact that he was able to turn those states red. I got a premise on what happened there. Definitely, I have a premise on what happened. Like I said, I don't want to get that deep into it right now. But Kanye, she woke me up. The phone rang at 2:30 in the morning. And so I run to the phone and I saw that it was her. And I was like, wow, what's wrong? She called me at 2:30 in the morning. And mind you, it's 2:30 in the morning here in the United States, but in Spain, they're 7 hours ahead of us. So it wasn't actually as early, but it was
Okay.
early for us. So I don't know, seven, you guys add seven. I don't know what that is. I guess around 5 in the morning or so her time.
Okay.
But with that being said, I answered the phone and I was like, what's wrong? I mean, scared the mess out of me. I said, what's wrong? She said, Ma,
Mm-hmm.
she said, we're just all devastated. We cannot believe that he won. And I said, I know, baby. And you're like, what do you say? What do you say to your kids when something like that happens? She's 20 years old.
Well, there
And
was always a possibility that he could win.
yeah,
I
that's
mean, it
true.
is an election. It wasn't guaranteed to
But if you look
Hillary.
at the polls, though, the polls, we were bamboozled. There's no other way to
Well,
put
the
it.
the media always gives the consumers or the public rhetoric. If you believe everything the media say, then you're going to be hoodwinked because people have a tendency to allow media to control what they think, what they eat, what they wear, everything, but it's all rhetoric. So if you can't realize that what they put out there is just rhetoric, then you're going to be lost. It was always anyone's game, you know.
Well, you know what?
Even though the media was saying that Hillary is in the lead, Hillary is in the lead, Hillary is in the lead, they did the same thing in the presidential election between her and President Obama. They kept saying that she was going to win and she was in the lead. She had the more electoral votes. And then he came and slaughtered her.
Yeah, that's true. And
Came
Donald
and
Trump.
slaughtered her. So what's the difference? I mean, the same thing happened with President Obama that happened with President elect, the 45th president elect, Donald Trump. The
Yeah.
exact same thing happened. You just can't get too comfortable and just think that you have it. You've got to get out there and work. You got to plan, you got to strategize. And obviously, she didn't do a good job of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, but the thing is that the pollsters are normally pretty accurate when it comes to elections, though. I get that the media does feed us a bunch of rhetoric and all of that, but when it comes to the
Propaganda.
polls, for the most part, they're on point with the polls. I personally think what happened was, let's face it, I call it the white man sneak attack. They're not going to tell you everything they're about to do. That's the way I feel about it. I believe that they knew what they were going to do. They knew that they had that ace up their sleeve.
Who are you referencing
I'm
when you
talking
say
about
they?
white males. I'm talking about white males
Mm.
because the thing is the media was hyping so much, like you said, that
Mm-hmm.
Hillary was winning in the polls. Hillary was winning in the polls. Let's not get it twisted. They get together and whatever, if it's the Ku Klux Klan, whoever it is, they get together and they decide this is how we're going to do this. We're going to bamboozle, we're going to trick everybody, and then we're going to play our ace card.
I don't think.
Meaning that what the reason why I'm saying that is
Mm-hmm.
because again, I'm talking about the pollsters. The
Mm-hmm.
pollsters are going based on what the information that someone gives them. And the white male held back that information. They voted in record 73% of uneducated white men voted for Donald Trump. 36% of educated white males voted for Donald Trump. Now, we're going according to the polls. If I don't tell you who I'm voting for, you don't know. You're only racking up numbers based on the information that you gather. Like I said, I believe that it's also the trickery of the white man again. I also think that, as we were talking earlier, it's hard to defeat racism. Racism is very powerful. It really is. But I also believe that we as African Americans can also be at our own demise, because let's face it, no one liked either of the candidates overall. You were like, I don't like either one of them, so I'm not going to vote. And I can definitely hear black folks saying, and I've heard them say it. I had the conversations with them. So that's what I mean by the polls, as you stated, the media feeds us rhetoric, but also they're only as good as the information that someone disclosed to you.
Well,
That's
they
how you
can
come with the
disclose
polls.
whatever they want to disclose to you. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. They disclose a lot of propaganda. And as
Hmm.
far as it being a silent attack, I would say that they strategized, whereas Hillary went to sleep.
Oh,
They
I agree that they
strategized. They definitely
strategized.
strategized.
Yeah.
Now, what I don't understand is why everyone is so surprised that he won. If you looked at his rallies, he had way more people at his rallies than Hillary had, and they were all Caucasians. And his promise or his theme that he was saying was he's gonna make America great again. What he was saying to the Caucasian race is, I'm gonna make white supremacy again in America.
Yeah.
And he drew his audience from that base. He got everyone that was prejudiced aboard when he said, I'm going to make America great again. It's all about racism. That's what the whole race is about. It's about racism. It's about the fact that Hillary did not strategize. She did not prepare. She had Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, and Biden on the campaign stump for her, and she wasn't even out there. She didn't go to Wisconsin at all, which she lost. And then in North Carolina, they had predicted that she was running strong because North Carolina had formed this sending souls to the polls, and Steve Harvey was part of that as well. Now, even with that, only 12% of blacks voted. Only 12% of blacks voted.
And not to from when President Obama ran 4 years
Oh,
ago, they
yes.
said it was down, I guess, by about 8%, where the black vote didn't come out to vote like they did
Mm-hmm.
for President
They
Obama,
didn't come out like
which is a
that.
large number when you think about it.
Very large number. But she didn't think she needed to reach out to us. She just assumed that she had our vote. And obviously she didn't. And the thing about it is that President-elect Trump, to me, he went to more battleground states than she did as far as trying to gain those electoral votes.
That's
She
true. He
wasn't.
spent a lot of
He
time in
spent a lot
Pennsylvania.
of time in
Pennsylvania,
battleground states.
Wisconsin, Michigan. But what he
Ohio.
was doing was he was going for the working class white male who had those good steel mill jobs or those good
Hmm.
railroad jobs, paying lots of money, and they saw a lot of those plants close down. He made promises that he'll get it up and running again. You know, he'll get
Hmm.
them those good salaries again that they used to have. So yeah, you're right. He did spend a lot of
He spent a
time.
lot of time in the background state. And more importantly, I think that the fact that Hillary is a woman had a lot to do with it as well. I don't think America is ready for a woman president.
Yeah.
They're simply not ready. So there's a lot of factors that played into, the outcome of the election. A lot of factors, but I think the primary factor that played into it is racism. I really do. I think that racism is the primary factor that drove the race.
Okay. Well, we spent a lot of time on that, and I definitely want to go a little deeper into it. But
Hmm.
let me go on a lighter note. I want to talk about the Chicago Cubs right now because my stepfather has been a diehard fan of the Chicago Cubs, and I do mean diehard fan.
Is that where you got the T-shirt from?
Oh yeah, I forgot I got on my. It says champion World Series Chicago
So he
Cubs.
bought you that?
No, actually, no. My husband bought it for me.
Oh, okay.
He bought me the T-shirt, but that was a nail biter. The last game, the entire series, it was a nail biter. Now I want to talk about that parade. I thought that was a really sad parade that they gave them.
I didn't
It,
see.
yeah, I saw the parade. It seems as though the event should have went on much longer than that 1 day long parade. That they didn't have any celebrities. They didn't have anyone there. It was just the
Did you go to
saddest.
it?
No, it was on television. Yeah,
Oh,
on
well,
television.
the traffic was really bad, so that means a
No,
lot
it
of
was
people
a.
were there.
They said they estimated it was about 5 million people that showed up.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there. However, I just don't. It was a boring parade to me. I mean, I was happy for them, but it was a boring parade. You figure it's been 108 years since they had won the World Series. I don't know. It seems like it should have been some fireworks, some
Hmm.
celebrities, some dancing, some serious partying, but that wasn't the case. But nonetheless, very proud of them,
Well, that
for the
could be
fact that
that
they won.
everyone did their own thing. They had their own little private
Yeah,
parties.
but I'm talking about
And
the city of Chicago. They should have
yeah,
did more for them.
okay.
That's what I'm getting at. The city of Chicago should have did more for them. But it was a great feat. And they did it, they did it. Hey guys, we're gonna take a break right now. And when we get back, we are going to dive into the election. It's gonna get really deep. Got a few people calling in, and we have some subjects where people have actually sent us things that they would like for us to talk about. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you. Welcome back to live life on IntellectualRadio.com. We are getting ready to get deep into that election that happened last night, guys. As stated earlier, Donald Trump won the election, but we are going to have a pretty heated discussion and topics in terms of what we're going to cover. So first of all, we had a question that came in from Francis from Chicago that Dr. Jones is going to go over.
Okay. Francis from Chicago texted in and asked this question. Did African Americans stay away from the poll because of lack of respect on Black Lives Matter? I think that we definitely stayed away from the polls because only 12% of African Americans actually voted. Black Lives Matter is probably one of the greatest contributors as to why we did stay away. I've heard a lot of celebrities say that President-elect Clinton did not reach out to the African Americans, and she couldn't just assume that she was going to get our vote. So
you mean Senator Clinton?
Senator Clinton, she didn't reach out to the African American population, and as a result, she didn't get big numbers as it relates to African Americans coming out to vote. When President Obama ran, 99% of African Americans went out and voted.
Yeah, it was the first time we ever had a viable Black candidate that was running too as well.
Right, but if you look at the numbers in comparison to who came out for her and who came out for President Obama, it's devastating. So it's obviously saying to Senator Clinton, you haven't done, or you haven't told us that you're going to do anything to stop the killings that are going on. Our Black boys are being gunned down by police. She obviously didn't address that with us to give us hope to get out there and support her. So yes, I think a lot of the reason that we had such a poor performance in that is because of her not reaching out to African Americans.
All right, guys, we have a caller on the phone. Can you identify yourself?
Tiana.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Tiana. I'm calling from Minnesota.
You're calling from Minnesota. Hi, Tiana. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
So you had a comment on the election?
Yeah. Well, I guess what I could say is for here in Minnesota, I say because this is my first time voting, and where I went to vote, there's probably about 5 people there.
There were only like a few Black people there, you're saying? What was the atmosphere like?
Where I went, there was no Black people there. I couldn't find any Black people voting.
Oh, wow. No Black people at all. I think I talked to you earlier. You told me that a lot of people were saying that they just were not going to go out and vote. Black people. A lot of people out here were saying that they weren't going to vote at all because they felt that their vote didn't matter and that they wouldn't be heard and that they didn't want to pick between the two of evils. And then the ones who did vote voted third party. Okay, and third party is like not basically voting at all.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Well, shall I say you choosing the person that we didn't want to win, that is, anyway, by voting third party. Yeah. So you said that this was your first time voting?
Yes, it was.
How old are you?
25.
25. Okay, so you could have voted in the last election 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Why didn't you vote then?
Well, back then I thought the way that everybody is thinking now. My vote doesn't matter. I don't care. Who cares? But I actually sat down this year and paid attention to the election and everything that was going on and who was running for president. And on top of it, I have a lot of my elders telling me constantly about my ancestors and what they went through for me to have that right. And I took all that into consideration and decided to make a move. And I went out and voted.
So who did you vote for?
Hillary.
Okay. So how do you feel about your candidate not winning? How do you feel about her opponent winning? What do you think that looks
I mean,
like for you?
I don't really know what that looks like for me, but from what I'm hearing, from what he's saying, there's a lot of things that help people who are successful right now today become successful that he wants to take away, and that bugs me. But at the same time, I'm a woman of God, and I always believe that there's really nothing that he can do. So I'm a little upset that Hillary didn't make it, and I know that, like, if both were evil, I didn't want that evil. He was more evil, but I got God. So my life is going to still be good. I'm going to still do what I'm doing now. I'm going to still take care of my family as I can.
Awesome.
And I just pray that ISIS don't come.
You pray that you what?
That ISIS don't come.
ISIS don't come over to America. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
you're
we're
right.
gonna touch and agree on
Donald
that.
Trump, anything's possible.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
yes.
that's one of the things that a lot of people are worried about, including our allies abroad. They're worried about whether or not this president-elect, Trump, can actually trigger a third world
Yes.
war here in the United States.
In America, yes, on our residential roads. Yes, that is the only thing
On our turf.
I fear. Yeah, that's the only thing I fear about him being president is the significant damage and loss of life that could come from this.
And
That's the only thing that I don't like.
Tiana, that's a very interesting point that you bring out because under President Bush, when 9/11 happened, executive powers expanded, meaning that the
Yeah,
powers of the president expanded. There are a lot of things that he can do without Congress, without the Senate. Granted, there's a checks and balance with the Congress and Senate, but when executive powers expanded as a result of 9/11, that's what makes it even more scary. Because as Hillary stated during the entire election, I mean, really, do we want a president that can be baited by a tweet? The way he acted during that was just erratic. So when you think about that, how do you feel about when he said he's going to build a wall? He's going to keep Muslims out, keep the Mexicans out. He mocked the disabled. And let's not forget the last one where he talked about women, how he can grope on them and do anything that he wants to do to women. I mean, when you think about all of those things, it's just really deep. And in fact, it brings me to, and tell me what you think about this, a question that I got from a viewer. Her name is Nikki. And one of the things she says, how does it feel to live in a country where integrity and basic human is not a requirement for the President of the United States? That's deep when you think about it. What do you think about that, Tiana?
It feels like we're doomed. There's no such thing as human. We're not human. If that's how could that be possible? Humans, we love, we care, we share, we provide, we take care of each other. We don't make decisions off of instinct. We do tend to make decisions off of emotions, but that's what makes us stronger than the rest, believe it or not. I do believe that. And to have a president who completely ignores the heart, the only thing I can say is ISIS. That's all that ever crossed my mind since he won is ISIS.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary. That is a very scary thought. All right, Tiana, we want to thank you for calling in. Thank you for sharing with us. And your insights are definitely appreciated.
Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job, Tiana.
Bye-bye.
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 Wow, that is frightening. That's really frightening because when you think about it, here's a guy that has no political experience, no education,
Very little.
And he just comes and he's elected as president of the United States of America. What is that saying? You don't need any credentials to be president. You don't have to have any moral standards, moral character.
It's unprecedented. It really is. I mean, we've never had a, no matter what you thought about our past presidents, I mean, President Bush, President Reagan, I'm naming Republicans, of course, but they had much more integrity about
Oh,
themselves. I mean, even Bush, I thought
yes.
was I thought he was one of the worst ones that we had ever had. But how wrong I was.
But he had character.
Exactly. I
He
mean,
had
he
character.
did. He had character. Not only
Character.
that, he did bring some diversity into his cabinet.
Yeah, he
I wonder
did.
what will this cabinet look like?
Hmm.
That in itself is scary to me. Who will Donald Trump appoint in
Well,
his cabinet? Do you know?
I researched, and one of the things that I found was that there's going to be 4 Supreme Court justice seats that are going to come open because the Supreme Court justices are older now. So Trump is looking at 11 all-white conservative Supreme Court judges. He has 11 in mind that he wants to select from. They're all
There's
white
only
and
a
they're
selection of one. He has
right, but he
11.
he has 11 that he's looking at for possible appointees. He has 11 people that he's looking at. You have Ruth, that's 83 years old. You have Ginsburg, that's 83. You have Stephen Briner, that's 77. And then you have Justice Kennedy at 79. So there's 4.
And they're all pretty old.
Yeah, they're going to be coming out and he's going to be replacing those 4 seats. But he's looking at 11 candidates and he's going to select and wind down as to who he wants to select. But they're all white and they're all conservatives.
So have you heard anything about his any other his party candidates or members?
Well, you do know that they took both the Senate and the House. And it looks like they were terrain of resilience because this has been the largest Republican majority since the 71st Congress in 1929 and 1931.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're controlling both.
1929, 1931.
1929 to 1931, the 71st Congress, they have the largest majority since the 71st Congress. And all of the states that they thought that Hillary would take, like North Carolina, he ended up, turning that red. So he really did. He didn't just beat her; he kind of slaughtered her. He had 289 electoral votes in comparison to her 218 electoral votes. So he didn't just beat her; he really slam dunked her. And all of America is looking sad now, especially all of the Democrats, because they really had high hopes that she would win, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah, I just got another comment from Frances in Chicago. She says, you don't need credentials when your skin is white.
And that's absolutely true because, as I stated earlier, it's all about racism. This whole election is about racism and white supremacy. So, no, you don't need credentials.
Especially as a white male.
You don't.
I mean, that's how it's feeling. I think the sad part of it all is that Donald Trump being elected, I'm sorry for the pause, but Donald Trump being elected it does not just affect us as African Americans, Hispanics, Muslims. It affects us entirely, as a country. It really does, especially if he carries through with all the rhetoric that he said. It would be hopeful to think that he was just saying all those things. I think he himself sometime he's got to be surprised that he actually won. But then again, he said that he would too.
Yeah,
So maybe
I don't
he's
think
not
he's
surprised by it
not at all.
because he did say he would win.
But what's frightening is you got to think about the things that the Supreme Court justices are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at abortion, Native Americans' rights, homosexual rights, segregation. Those are all important issues that's going to impact everybody in America as to how those things will go. You know, they can go in and they can just change everything around. You know, education, it's going to affect so many potent areas of everyone's lives. So it's critical that, you know, we get the right people in there in those Supreme Court justices seats.
Yeah, but he gets to appoint.
Yeah,
It's
he
not an
has
election.
control.
He
Yeah.
appoints.
Yeah,
He
he
gets to appoint
appoints.
the judges that are in the United States Supreme Court. You know, he has the right to appoint. And that's what's even more scary about
And
it.
that's what I'm saying. It's scary because there's so many critical topics that's going to be on the table for the Supreme Court justices.
This is really, as I stated earlier, guys, this is a dark cloud over America, not just over America, but over the country. Going back
Mhm.
to Kenya being in Spain, she's actually tutoring 4 kids that she, no, 6 kids that she tutors. She's teaching them English. And the little boy, I believe he's 7 years old,
Mhm.
he asks her the question. He says, I don't understand your country. Why would they elect a bad man?
Oh, wow.
He's 7 years old. He's in Spain and he's a Spaniard and he doesn't understand. Why would they elect a bad man? Does that mean that the people in your country are bad? That's what he asked her.
How did she respond?
She said to him, good point. That's what she said. She said, good point. It's really, I'm concerned about the color of my skin and people that look like me. We
Mhm.
already was having serious issues and problems happening with the police and the violence, and now you got a president who says it's okay to beat them up, it's okay to knock them down, it's okay to mistreat people, it's okay to laugh at disabled people, it's okay to grope women and treat them like mere property. It just made me think about, I think about the 19th Amendment and
Mhm.
women's suffrage, you know, what women went through, the right to vote. You know, a lot of people are like, and just the thought of that, you have
Yeah.
women who voted for him as well
Mhm.
because they don't think that they, you know, that they can.
Jason. Mhm.
Okay. Hello, call your name and where you calling from.
My name's Jason. I'm calling from Lansing, Illinois.
Okay, you have a topic or a comment that you wanted to comment on the election?
Yeah. I just had a comment I wanted to make about the election. Um, I think I think people are. I see a lot of people are upset about Donald Trump winning the election, and I understand their frustration. But also, my outlook on it is, we elect the personality uh, that goes in office. We don't elect the policy. I feel like the policy is given to whichever president is elected. So, you know, I know a lot of people have a terrible outlook on Donald Trump, myself as well. But I feel like no matter who was in office, um, the policies that America has for the way America's going to be ran, they were just going to be the front runner or the person in charge to um, to present the policy that America has in store for us Americans. But I don't feel like anybody can change America other than ourselves or the black people that who refuse to unite with one another. So my outlook on it is, don't be mad about the election. It's not about people not going to vote. I feel like it's just the way America is. Keep God first.
You're absolutely right, Jason. As a matter of fact, I just received another question, and tell me what you think about this one. It just actually ties into what you just said. And this is from Frances again. She said, I believe that he, speaking of Donald Trump, that he can be the Antichrist world leader that the Bible mentions.
Oh.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the destiny in which is already predetermined.
This is true. I agree with that. I also, not to cut you off, I also watched a video with Malcolm X where he stated about basically it being this is America's country. Well, this is America. Basically it was founded on the depression of keeping minorities held back and being a superior race. And the only thing that can come from this is us finally coming together. You know, if you look at everything going on in Chicago, everything going on around the world, where we basically oppressing ourselves. You know, when we should be uplifting one another, when we already know who our oppressors is. We've been knew who our oppressors was. We've been had the knowledge of how they've been oppressing us, but yet and still we sat back and allowed it to happen. And then now I just feel like we got that wake up call to where, hey, we either unite now or continue to sit back and basically let other people dictate our future for us.
And Jason, basically, that's what we were talking about on the show. We think that a lot of the election outcome has to do with white supremacy. And we think that's what really drove the election was his message that he was going to make America great again, meaning that he was going to put it back in the control of Caucasians. So we know that race is playing a very pivotal role in this election. And as a race, like you said, we have to come together and stop being against each other and hurting each other and shooting each other and killing each other. We have to change our course before we could think that we can help ourselves any other kind of way by the oppressor.
I totally agree. And my last comment that I would like to make is this. I feel like the number one way, and basically the only way, that we can even make that happen, and the first step to making that happen is to not keep giving these people our money. If you look at it, these holidays, these are man-made holidays. You know, at the end of the day, none of these holidays are in the Bible. These are all quarterly holidays, which were designed for you to go spend money so they can meet their quarterly quota. So we have to stop giving in and spending our money and supporting them by buying all of these products that they selling us without no return without no return, basically, you know.
Within our community.
Right. We the number one consumers in the world. You know, and America is a business. At the end of the day, when you look at it, everything's made in China. You know, we don't buy nothing that's made in Africa.
Yeah, that's true.
Very good points, Jason. Very good points. Thank you very much for sharing with us.
No problem.
Okay, have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Wow, I think Jason hit it on the nail.
Yeah.
Several times, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, his insight was absolutely on point. This situation, my sister-in-law, she joked and she said, I still can't get over this, but she says, I wonder, do they have Wi-Fi on the boats back to Africa?
Wow.
And she had me laughing when she said it, but that is how you feel. I mean, you feel like possibly slavery again. But the best part about it all is that this is the United States of America. We are free and we can determine our own destiny. And as Jason said, hopefully this will unite us as a race of people, bring us together. But there is definitely a lot of power in withholding our dollar.
Oh, yes, definitely.
A lot of power in withholding our dollar. You just hope that we get a wake-up call and we get it. You know, I say to Black America, I say to Hispanics, Muslims, Asians, whomever feel affected by this, it could be Caucasians as well. I say, get your house in order. Get your house in order financially, whatever it takes to get it in order, because we don't know what's about to come our way the next 4 years. Just be prepared. But as Jason stated, know that ultimately he's not in control. He's not in control. I want to read a scripture. It's from Psalms 140. Give me a second, I can locate it. Dr. Jones, you can continue to comment on it while I locate.
Okay, wow, yeah, it is a wake up call, and it's a wake up call for everyone that was affected by the outcome of the election. And there's power in unity. And unless we come together and fight for a common good, common cause, then yes, we'll be defeated. But you have got to unite, you have got to stand tall, and you've got to fight for things that aren't right. You got to fight. I mean, Dr. King had to fight. We're going to have to fight too. We're going to have to fight. And with that, fighting, we're going to have to come to an understanding that we are not each other's enemy. So we have to stop fighting and killing one another, because we're not one another's enemy.
Guys, I want to leave you, and this is not quite the end, but I just want you to hear this scripture. It's from Psalm chapter 140. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for naught, for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under the hips. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man who have purpose to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me and cords. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. Selah. I said unto the Lord, Thou art my God. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. O God, the Lord, the strength of my salvation. Thou hast covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves. As for the head of those that compass me, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth. Evil shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted and the right of the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name. The upright in thy presence. So, guys, take that scripture, Psalm chapter 140. Let it give you peace. The Lord knows what's going on. He already knew that this was going to happen. No matter how hard we planned, what we did, it was already predestined. But just know that He's got our back. But we have got to unite. We've got to come together and understand that, as I always like to say, one monkey don't stop no show. And this monkey is not going to stop our show. We have got to come together, guys.
Okay, and now for our Live Life Happy message for today. It's coming from livelifehappy.com. You are under no obligation to be the same person you were a year, a month, or even 15 minutes ago. You have the right to grow. No apologies.
Absolutely love that. You have the right to grow. No apologies. Guys, hopefully we have given you to get over this. As Jason said, I think he put it perfect when he said, don't be sad. You know, we have just got to unite and come together and know that Donald Trump doesn't control our destiny and where we're going to go and what is already predestined for us. So, guys, just remember that. So, next time, we'd like for you to tune in. We'll be back on the 23rd, of November. Thank you for, yes, it's a Wednesday. November the 23rd is when we'll be back. So make sure you tune in to Live Life on IntellectualRadio.com. We'll see you next time.